I've helped hundreds of pitchers safely add 5 to 10 miles per hour, and here's the truth. None of them did it the way that you're being told to. Not from a new gadget, not from a cookie cutter drill circuit, and definitely not from a once a week lesson. Today I'm going to expose the 5 biggest reasons why pitchers plateau, and then I'll show you the exact framework that I used with myself and all of my athletes to break through. Okay, most kids are taught to move like robots. Stack here, freeze there, land in a perfect fielding position, get your arm up to this spot, do this with your front leg, and that is the wrong way to go about it. You take all of these cues and then you wonder why when you're on the mound you feel choppy, you feel less athletic, and you might feel like you have more in the tank, but you just don't know how to actually break through. Because pitching is a fast athletic movement. It's not a museum pose. When you chase positions, you lose speed. Sequencing and timing absolutely matter, but they're a byproduct of athletic motion, not the other way around. The way that I train it and the way that I teach it to my athletes is through unlocked throwing. Get the body moving like an athlete first, then clean up timing while speed stays on. So what I have written down is athlete, mover, thrower. So the foundation of your pitching delivery should just be athletic. So doing athletic catch, becoming a good mover, okay, in the sense of being athletic, and then amplifying that with targeted mobility work, and then adding on the specific drills that you need to blend everything together and unlock your most athletic mechanics. And then training those mechanics to move at full speed. Because if your mechanics only work at 60%, they're not mechanics, they're choreography, which brings us to reason number 2. So the second biggest reason why a lot of pitchers plateau is intent starvation. So basically what that means is the lack of intent when you're throwing. Now, plateaus absolutely love low intent. Most bullpens thrown, especially if you're doing it in person, are thrown at like 60 to 75%. And while I'm not saying you should be throwing max out every single time you step on the mound, it's important to know when to train intensity. And when you're throwing at these low intensities and that's the only time you're practicing your mechanics, you're gonna force bad habits. You're probably gonna decelerate early, you're gonna push the arm, you're gonna baby the baseball, and you're just teaching yourself to do that when you get into a game. Velocity is a skill, and the skill is moving fast. And in order to develop that skill, you need to practice it. So I'm gonna give you 3 ways that you can actually practice throwing harder. So the first way is by doing pull downs. Now, when you're doing pull downs, you're teaching your nervous system what it's like to move at 100% effort. Because guys, just to reiterate this, if you never practice throwing hard, you are never going to throw hard and get out of that velocity plateau. So when you're doing pull downs, you essentially want to run up as fast as you can and deliver the ball as hard as you can possibly throw it. Now, pull downs have been vilified for a while because guys think that if you do pull downs, you're gonna blow out your arm. Well, that could be true if you're doing them the wrong way. Like if you're doing pull downs 5 times a week, good luck. But if you're being programmed pull downs properly and do them once, maybe twice a week, then you're gonna be completely fine and you're going to gain velocity. So the second thing is long toss, and long toss is a little bit different than doing pull downs, okay? So same principle because you're getting your body to move at 100%, but the reason long toss is a little bit different is because you're building more strength than anything. When you're moving out to 300, 350, and even for some of you 400 feet, then you're gonna force all of those tendons and ligaments in your arm and the rest of your body to become really, really strong and adaptable. That's why guys like Nolan Ryan, guys like Billy Wagner, who actually might be on my shirt, that's why they love long toss so much, and that's why they swore by it, because the more you do long toss, the more arm strength you build, the healthier your arm is, and the more output you can actually handle. The reason why guys get hurt so easily today is because they're not building a foundation. They're afraid to let it eat. And it's because pitching coaches are so soft and want them to only throw at 60, 70% and save their bullets. But the reality is your bullets can be created. And it's by doing things like long toss and pulling down. And the third thing, which I'm going to mention now. So max intent pens, I touched on this a little bit earlier in the video. And, guys go to pitching lessons or, throw bullpens with their team. And it's like their pitching coach tells them to keep it at 70% or whatever. And if you have a game in the next couple of days, I understand that. You don't want to fatigue yourself too much. But when you're only throwing your bullpens at these lower level intensities, then you're training your body to move that way when you step on the mound in a game. If you never throw as hard as you can off the bump outside of a game setting, then it's going to feel foreign to you when you actually get into a game, okay? And similar to pull downs, there's a right and a wrong way to go about this. You can't throw a max intent bullpen every single day of the week. I've seen a lot of guys get hurt because they try to do these things way too often. It's kind of like when you're in the weight room. If you squat 400 pounds every single day, you're going to absolutely nuke your central nervous system and not to mention the rest of your body. And that is a perfect segue into reason number 3, why guys plateau. Okay, so the third reason is random throwing, and I think this one is going to hit home with a lot of you. So you need to understand that random inputs deliver random outputs. That's why you can go on the mound and throw hard some days, and then the next time you get on the mound, it's not the same. It's because you're doing a bunch of random stuff. Most guys like to just feel it out. A little bit of long toss here, some pull downs there, maybe some athletic catch mixed in there, but it's nothing consistent. And they think that doing things this way is gonna get them to their goal velocities, and that's just not the case. That's not development, that's hoping. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a sample throwing routine that you can follow so you don't have to do a bunch of random stuff. So this here is a sample weekly throwing routine that you can follow. Is it absolutely perfect? No, because the perfect throwing routine is going to be based on what your schedule looks like. So everybody watching this has a different schedule, but if you can model it something like this, then that would be a good place to start. And if you want me to build out an entire throwing routine for you that's helped hundreds of guys gain 5 to 10 miles per hour, just click the first link in the description below and book a call with me. But let's move on to reason number 4. So another major reason why guys plateau is because they lift completely wrong. Now, there's 2 different paths that guys tend to go down. They either have bodybuilder splits where they're lifting 5 times a week and they're doing their lifts with slow tempos, which make you get tight and slow. Or they do endless rehab circuits with 5-pound bands. And from that, you get weak and fragile. Pitchers need force and speed. That means heavy lifts with structured volume and also speed work. So to really hit home what I mean by all of this, I'm gonna write down a sample 3-day lifting program on the board. Okay, so if we look at day A, that's gonna be more of a strength biased day. So we have things like trap bar deadlifts, split squats, and chin-ups, okay? So we're gonna focus more on strength and hypertrophy on this day, which is super important as a pitcher. And if we go down to day B, it looks a little bit different, and it's more of a hybrid between strength and explosive work. So we have things like jumps, some med ball rotational throws, and also trap bar jumps, okay? So we're working on things that are gonna get us springy and athletic. And then day C is gonna be a full body day that also hits home on both sides of the spectrum. So we have things like RDLs, which are gonna build muscle. We have rows for the same thing, single leg work, and core. So as you can see, all 3 of the lifting days are hitting on different energy systems. Some we're focusing on just strength, some we're working on strength and speed. Some of them are just athletic and explosive days. And in addition to these 3 training days, we should be having separate days that are dedicated to just sprints and separate days that are just meant for rotational work. So to really hit this home, strength without speed means slow. Speed without strength equals weak. You need both. So the 5th and final reason why you're probably in a velocity plateau is recovery mismanagement. So I see this all the time. Kids train the same every single week, and it's regardless of games, soreness, or the calendar. That's how you cook your CNS and absolutely stall out. So what you want to be monitoring is volume, intensity, frequency, and also your sleep, calories, hydration, and soft tissue. If you can pull all of these levers and optimize them to your body, then you'll have a way easier time making progress and breaking through your plateau. Because if you just do the same thing every single week, then at some point you're going to stall out and plateau. But if you pull all the levers that you need to, then it's going to be much easier to manage these plateaus. Because the thing you have to remember is velocity is an adaptation. If you never reduce stress, the body never adapts. So what you need to do is modulate your weeks around when you're actually going to be pitching so that you're fresh on those days. And what that comes down to is dosing your intent throughout the week. So if you can do that properly, then your arm will stay fresh and you'll be able to throw harder for longer. And if you can focus on the little things like sleep, nutrition, hydration, then you'll be miles above your competition, because most kids your age, if you're watching this, don't take those things seriously. So if you can pull that lever, that'll put you above so many guys in your shoes. So guys, if you're plateaued, it's not because you're lazy, it's just because you've been miseducated. Stop chasing poses and gadgets. Start training like an athlete with a plan. That is exactly why I built the athletic mechanics formula, and from it, I've had guys like Kyle gain 7 miles per hour in 3 months while adding 10 pounds of muscle. Guys like Sebastian, who went from 85 to 88 and got invited to play for Team USA, or guys like Ben, who went from topping 80 to topping 85 in 3 months. So if you want to be the next pitcher I help, what I advise you to do is click the first link in the description below and book a call with me. We'll talk about your situation now, where you want to get to, and how I can help. Go book that call now. I hope this video helped, and I will see you guys on the next one.